What's up there, boys and girls?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
Hey, it's the
Boys
Chris
and
Mike Show.
girls.
It's the Chris
Welcome
Mike Show.
to the show.
He's Chris, I'm Mike. Hey! Not really.
That would be crazy. Take on each other's persona for a day. I don't think I could do that.
There's a song.
You could.
There's a song. It's a Van Halen song with the Hagar era. One of my favorite ones. What the fuck is it called? Humans. No, not Humans Being. What the fuck? There's a line in it that talks about. Fuck. This is gonna drive me nuts.
Is it
now.
from that era?
It is from Sammy's era.
Me Wise. Oh no, that was
Not
Steve.
Me Wise Magic. That's David Lee Roth. But
Yeah,
it's
I'm sorry.
there's a line. I listen to it all the time, which is irritating. I can't remember the name of it. But there's a line where if you and I were to switch places for a day, would you be satisfied or something? It's a really fucking cool line. Right.
Now you got. Now I can hear him singing it.
Right.
You and I.
Yeah.
If I were you and you were I. Yeah.
Right. Oh, what the fuck is that song, man? God dang it.
Or if you were me.
Yeah,
I can
something like that.
I can
Yeah,
hear the
yeah,
cadence of how he sings.
I
it.
know. Absolutely, man. Where's the fucking cancel code Van Halen?
One of Eddie's finer guitar moments too, and that's a deep Van Halen cut. That wasn't a hit.
Yeah. That's why I liked it, because it's not.
Me too.
It's not one of the ones that's played all the time.
Oh.
Black and Blue Panama feels so good. Da 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 da.
I bet it's on like the Balance album.
Oh, that probably could be. Hold on.
Because that was my favorite Sammy era Van Halen album for sure. Balance had a lot of tension to it. You could feel that there were things not right in the band, but damn, did it make for some good songs.
Right. Feelin'.
Yes.
Feelin'. Yes. Fucking great song.
Oh man, that
Great
just
fucking
gives me
song.
chills now.
Great song. I like it because of Feelin' lyrics.
See if you can find that on YouTube and just play a little bit of it.
Okay. So here's the line though. If I were you, if you were me, I wonder who I'd want to be. Right? If I were
That's
you,
it.
If you were me, I wonder who I'd want to be.
Yes.
Listen.
That is so, man, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
It's on my thing, man. So how do I do this? I got a
Share.
plan.
So go down to the bottom where it says share and share your screen.
Yep. It doesn't have a video to it.
That's all right. Yeah.
Out of touch most of the time. Got a
Turn it
lot
down just a little bit.
of mind kicking down the where to start.
Got an echo.
There
to
you
it.
go.
It's the hardest thing. Oh Lord, grow along, save it all. Life is hard, never soft. I need a change, I need it quick before it makes me sick.
Is this their last album? With Henry?
That's what's on my
Yeah.
mind.
It was.
Now pay attention, watch your back, pay your dues and stay on track. Got no room to second guess, puts me under stress. Oh, if I were you, if you were me, I wonder who I wanna be. With just one wish you can't refuse, I wouldn't know what to choose.
Little breakdown.
That's awesome.
That's a great song, man.
Yeah.
Great fucking song. It's one of those ones that, like, legit, it's in my playlist. It's in so many different playlists of shit that I listen to. Just because I like the B-side stuff. I like the commercial stuff, right? That gets
Pause
released
it
and
real
shit.
quick.
Smoking crack.
But I like a lot of the stuff.
Say
that's
that
not
statement
released.
again, because I don't know if anybody heard that.
Okay, I said I like the obscure B-side stuff. I like the commercial stuff they release, but the stuff that's kind of just lost in the system, right, on the album itself that they don't ever push out, they're hidden gems. Like, that's a really fucking good song if you've never listened to
go search that one out.
Yeah, just go listen to Balance on alone. The Balance album.
The whole album
is fucking outstanding. Balance. Let's just drop the entire album. Let's see what they have. The whole fucking stupid thing.
Well, I heard one on the way home actually came up on my playlist, The Seventh Seal, which is the first song on that album.
Yep. So there it is.
Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do. That was a great riff.
Fuck yeah. Can't Stop Loving You. Amsterdam.
Good love song for sure.
Right.
Amsterdam's a great song.
So Seventh Seal,
Not
like
Enough's another great love song.
Mm-hmm. Doing Time.
It's not really a love song, actually. It's...
Well,
I don't even know what to call
Can't
it.
Stop Loving You
very
and
emotional.
Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do are both love songs for sure. Amsterdam's about partying. Strung Out's about partying, right? Take Me Back.
No, I was talking about Not Enough. I'm looking at that one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Not Enough.
Dude, that song's another one that it's just got incredible emotion.
Yeah. This has it has lyrics on there. Is it playing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It starts off real soft.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is a fucking good song. I remember that.
Just like goosebumps.
That's the beautiful thing about music, man. I like when they make videos like this. Oh, yes. And the melody. Yeah, I do.
To love somebody faithfully.
The melody's badass.
To love somebody equally. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. To love somebody secretly. And never touch. To love somebody honestly. Always trust.
That's cool.
To love somebody
Pause it real quick.
tenderly.
So I was working with this dude about 2 weeks ago, and he likes to talk music. He's a huge fan, and he thinks it's cool that I was a musician. And we talk about songwriting, and he says, how do you know where to put? You were orchestrating where it was going to be before it happened, right? Because as a songwriter, you feel that space and time that you don't want to fill as a lead singer,
right,
but you want to fill as a songwriter, right?
Yes.
So now I'm going to put in my background vocals.
Yeah.
And you just see a light go off in their eyes. It's like, oh, that's where that comes from. It's like it's as simple as that. The lead singer can't sing all the time. He's got to breathe at some point, right?
Well, yeah. Well, and that and the fact too, the way that we wrote stuff and the way that I always tried to write stuff before and after was I didn't want the song to be focused on what I was doing. I wanted the music and the elements and the sound, right? The solos and the drum fills
Kill
and
that
stuff.
screen.
So a lot of the things that I would do, I would take what the music was, what you guys are doing musically, and then as I would start formulating how to structure the lyrics and the words themselves, right? Because just because I wrote it doesn't mean I'm going to sing it the way it was written. Because enunciation, how to style the word, things like that. What part are you going to hold out? The melody and shit develops itself within the music of the song. But I was always really keen on, like with Scott, was how he was just a powerful drummer. When he would have some fills and shit, like I purposely wouldn't sing over those things because I wanted to hear it. When Rick would have a really cool bass riff, I wouldn't sing over that. If you were doing some weird harmonic thing here and there, I never wanted to sing over that because I wanted the whole element, the whole product needed to be heard, and everybody's part was so important to the song itself.
Well, I always thought it was cool that you knew where the moments in time where you and I could play off each other were.
Right. Well, that's just because we had that yin and yang, man.
That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes those things would have never happened on a record, but they happened live all the time.
Right, and that's why it's really important, boys and girls, if you're going to be in a band, before you lay anything down in the studio, play it out 100 times.
Yes.
Play that shit out. Play it out.
Well, I'll tell you one I'm thinking of that I hear all the time because I put it at the end of every episode is Listen to Your Sin. You sing all over that solo, but that solo calls for somebody to do something more because there's not a lot going on, right?
Right. And we did
all
that.
All it is a harmony line.
Right. And we did that. That was just organically done because when we were fucking around with that at Scott's house, that's just, because I don't think originally.
Love it, man. That was one of my proudest moments.
Yeah, I don't think I originally sang over the solo. It ended up evolving that way because you guys gave me the ability to improv so much on stage, and we were so tight that you would follow what I was doing, so it wasn't misstepping out of the song or the context of the song. That was one of the cool freedoms that I liked with Nemesis.
Well, I looked at it. That's how we got along. If you want to know how to be in a hive mind as a band with other human beings, I looked at it. Here was my mindset.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of how to put this. It was basically the same thing in reverse. So I'm thinking I want to add to whatever you're singing without ruining it for the people that are listening to it. Right?
Yeah.
You were trying not to play over the top of me, and I was trying not to play over the top of you. So what you ended up with was a nice blend, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we were.
Nobody looked on stage and went, "That guy's definitely the guy running the show."
Right.
How many times did we see that?
No, never.
Hundreds.
I mean, we saw it, but not with us. We just.
That's what I'm saying. How many times did we see that with other bands where we would joke, "That guy's definitely the leader."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. But that was again one of our unique qualities. So while we're talking about music, let's just talk about music today because we haven't done that in a while. I stumbled across
my choice.
I stumbled across this thing on Instagram and I sent it to you. It was a video. It was a top 10 electric guitar intros. Okay.
Oh, awesome!
Did you happen to see that?
I need to get better about looking.
Dude,
at
you're
my
good.
messages
No, because
on
this don't look now because this will be
Okay,
a cool little.
I
This will
won't.
be a cool surprise.
Yeah.
So it's electric guitar intros. So looking at this list, it's basically all of it's hard rock
intros. All right.
Yeah, it's all of it's hard rock except for one. Okay. So number 10, which is kind of surprising, it was number 10. The electric guitar intro for Master of Puppets.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun
dun,
dun dun. Okay.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the Beethoven of our time, right? That's
Right.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah. So the people can hear it. We're going to go to, I got to share the screen. I got to start playing that
sue us for sure.
No. How do I share the screen again? There it is. I see it. Screen. Okay. Share.
We love you guys. This is for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. Exactly. They're not going to sue us. This is the top.
Okay, there you go.
The plan?
Don't push your luck with technology.
Right, you hear it? Yeah. Okay, so that's Metallica. Okay, so that was number 10, Master Puppets.
Number 10.
Number 9 on the list, which gotta go over here. Okay, gotta go over here. Yeah, you're gonna agree with this one too, as far as it being in the list.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right. Just kickstart
that just
my
makes
heart,
me
man.
want to.
Let's go. Check it out. Yeah.
Music video, so it's gonna take a minute to get there.
Look at that.
462,000.
Back home, sweet home. Yeah. This is where it all began. Yeah.
There's Sam Kinison, the late great Sam Kinison. Oh.
Should we go check it out? Let's go.
Vince Neil was still around and could still sing. There it is.
Absolutely.
And he's just bending the strings with that, right?
Yeah, he's using his whammy bar.
Yeah, okay. So that's number 9 in the top 10.
Do you know how many guitar players made their guitar sound like a car engine or a motorcycle before
Because of
Mick
that?
Mars said, fuck it, I'm going to record it? No, I'm just saying, like, I can't imagine how many guitar players just sat in their bedroom and made their guitar sound like a motorcycle.
Oh,
and
I
Mick
gotcha.
Mars was the one that was smart enough to go, I'm going to put it on a record.
Yeah, okay. You're gonna like this one too.
And then, 100,000 more guitar players did it because he did it.
So this is number 7,
That should be number 1.
right?
That just makes you want.
Apparently. This is going back to
Paranoid for sure. That makes me want to pick up my guitar.
right. Little Jimi Hendrix for you boys and girls.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Interesting.
Well, if you go to the official sites, I'm sure it's different. We're just picking
This is number 5. Oh.
the piano outro to.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was
Absolutely
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Simple too.
This one's great too.
Yeah.
Some of the best sounding drums, in my opinion.
Oh, from Dire Straits.
Yeah. When the drums kick in here.
Yeah.
I love the way it just all builds up.
Yeah, that's the cool. That's kind of like certain stuff that we love. That's what I like doing. Like roller coaster, starts flat and just kind of builds up, kind of
Yeah.
come climbing, falling back down and out. Now this one, next one is definitely metal,
Oh, for sure.
right?
I love it.
Now this song gets dropped today. Oh my god, everybody's freaking the fuck out.
Still sounds as good today as
It
the
does,
first
though.
time I heard it.
Right? Fucking A, dude. My first introduction to Iron Maiden, my brother had the Trooper album,
Pause it real quick.
and the album itself, the cover was like, holy shit. Remember Eddie in the Revolutionary War garb?
100%. Nobody
yeah.
can hear us when you're telling that story, and I
Oh.
love these stories.
Oh, because of the music?
Yeah, I don't want
Gotcha.
I don't want us to get garbled because I love your music stories,
Yeah. Well, I love yours
as
too.
I do my own.
Yeah. So number 2 on the list.
This might be. I take that back. This should be number 1.
You're gonna be surprised what number 1 is.
And I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
It's 2 notes, but Daryl forced
No
you
shit.
to move.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow.
He was just like, here's 2 notes, but I'm going to play them with such authority that you're going to have to move.
And this is number 1. I don't know why it's-
Well, all right. Fuck. Pause that real quick. Have you ever seen the live at the River Plate version of that, where they're
No.
down in South America at a soccer stadium?
No.
That will, if you search that one, AC/DC live at the River Plate,
Okay.
there must be 110, 120,000 people there. And
Oh,
they
no
start
shit.
playing that, and the whole fucking crowd just starts in unison.
I love that.
Jumping up and down.
Love that when you see that, dude.
And they sing that riff,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
with AC/DC. They're louder than the band at times.
Right on. That's awesome.
I've watched that concert probably 4 times in its entirety just because it's so awesome.
You and I recently discovered, like 2 days ago discovered. Remember when we had Jake on? Your friend
Yeah.
Jake, not my son Jake.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And we were
You're
talking
right,
about
that gets confusing.
right? And we're like, hey, there needs to be like a dedicated app to just music, right? On demand, everything from videos to you break it down to artists, eras, albums, all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Fucking YouTube music.
Is just that?
I don't know yet because I've been wanting forever. I've been jonesing, right, to rewatch Scorpions Worldwide Live. You and I have even talked about that. Like I've been wanting to rewatch that because that was one of those.
There's shows I go back and watch, so I appreciate why you want to see that, because it meant so much to you in not only your introduction to hard rock and what it meant to you, but as a front man and becoming a singer and a songwriter and what you listen to then. I've been thinking about that a lot as they come up in my playlist,
Yeah.
A lot of those bands from the 80s that were really good, especially like as a guitar player, I listened to Saxon and Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and all the bands that had really cool guitar players.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say about the 80s, they definitely produce some amazing musicians. Amazing bands, and a lot of them get lost. That could pull it off live, too, right? You saw it with your own eyes. I saw the Scorpions out in Arizona. They were badass, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was cool. So I found it. I went on YouTube Music, and I typed in Scorpions Worldwide Live, and fucking there it was in its entirety. Like the whole thing. I'm like, holy shit. And then afterwards, as a little, golden nugget, the last 12 minutes of it, because it was the 50th anniversary, which, fuck, I'm old, right? Maybe it was 50th anniversary of Scorpions because that show didn't happen when I was 5. It was the Love at First Sting tour, which I didn't realize back then, but it was a Love at First Sting tour, and they kept climbing the charts. And it was their second tour of the United States.
I bet that was about 1984.
Yeah. So they decided at that second leg that they were going to start filming some shows because they wanted to capture what was going on, because they kept climbing. Like they were stuck on certain numbers on the charts, and then a couple weeks later they bump up one, and then a couple weeks later they bump up one, and they crescendoed all the way up to where they played in Madison Square Garden. They were doing the Long Island Arena or something. They were talking about it. Klaus and Matthias were being interviewed, and they were. It was kind of cool. They were discussing the evolution of the Love at First Sting tour and how they started out down here, and then all of a sudden they were the hottest selling band in the world at the time, and they went from clubs to fucking.
Thanks to Rudolph's brother Michael.
Yeah. But
he chose his path though, and I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
The Scorpions did what they wanted to do,
right?
And obviously Michael didn't want to go down that road, but. They delivered every night, man.
Yes.
I don't even remember who opened for the Scorpions. That's how fucking good they were.
Bon Jovi.
Oh, okay. You remember.
No, because they talked about it. About it.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I got
you.
Would you have... Oh, you didn't go to the show.
No, but the Love at First Sting tour was Bon Jovi. Like Klaus had talked about it in the interview, the post video interview. Right. He's like... He kind of said it with like a dig. Like,
well, does that make it before 1984? Because wasn't Bon Jovi on top of the world by 1984?
Maybe. Well, this was the way Klaus spun it. Was Bon Jovi's break because they toured the world with Bon Jovi.
So maybe that was like the runaway era of Bon Jovi, In and Out of Love, that album. Yeah, 7800 Fahrenheit. That's what it was.
Yeah. So it was cool to listen to them talk about how the experience in the band started growing, because they started with Spinal Tap was out. They talked about that and how their first stage set, Matthias was like, it looks too much like Spinal Tap. I'm like, we're not doing this anymore. So when they went to the United States, they changed the set because it was.
I think we would have embraced that.
There was this thing that like in front of the drum riser, it was like a garage door with lights through it, and it was rising up while the smoke was billowing, and they had their intro music for the show coming on, the doom, and it's rising up. Awesome. Right, and then you start hearing and as it's rising, and then they all kind of come running out of this box, right?
You make me want to watch this concert again, right now.
So they're all running out and kicking their legs, and Klaus is throwing a microphone, and then they're like, "Yeah, it's fucking Spinal Tap, man. Let's get a better stage." You know, and then they go on like then all of a sudden they have whoever was making Steven Tyler's clothes was making their clothes for shows, because then they had to kick everything up a notch, so the production had to go up. What they wore on stage had to evolve and change and get better, brighter, and different colors and shit. And then all of a sudden they buy more guitars, and it was kind of cool, because really they were down here, and then Love at First Sting, specifically Still Loving You, fucking took them.
Oh. What a great song, though.
There was a baby boom 9 months after that album came out in America.
I believe it.
So that was cool.
That's like the rock and roll version of Al Green.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then last night I was like, oh, from whatever in my head, Queensryche. So I asked YouTube Music, Building Empires. And sure enough, the Building Empires video, which takes you from the beginning of the band all the way up to Empire, that was cool. That was interesting to watch. Chris DeGarmo did most of the talking. He always reminded me of you, by the way, and vice versa. You guys had the same look, kind of the same skinny rock star.
I think we tried to achieve similar styles. He was way more of a proficient guitar player, but I appreciated how he didn't just play, the same rhythm over and over and over again.
Yeah.
His songs were structured and they built into something,
Yeah. And I loved Queensryche just because of the product of it. Jeff Tate was a fantastic front man, and like we've talked about, that's what
they were solid in every area.
They were until DeGarmo left, and then kind of just down a little notch.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. It's kind of like if Jerry Cantrell left Alice in Chains.
Not going to happen. Yeah.
No. But if he did, it wouldn't be the same band.
Yeah, you just can't. That's a feel. So I think we talked about that maybe on the last episode that we released, where I said, you can be taught to play, but you can't be taught to play with that feel that you heard in the intros of all those songs.
Yeah.
That, I would put Life in the Fast Lane in there. That was just a intro lick, or not an intro, a warm-up lick that Joe Walsh played backstage, and the guys were like, hey, what's that,
No shit.
He's like, it's just something I'm warming up to,
Right on.
Yeah, well, I
didn't know that.
So, yeah, he told the story on Howard Stern.
I like the little stories behind the music,
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated with that kind of stuff. I actually just watched a documentary over the weekend on Guns N' Roses. It's on Amazon Prime, if I remember right.
Okay.
It's about an hour and a half.
Okay.
But it's all about their beginnings to basically when things started to go south for them, right?
Okay, cool.
But the thing that I took away from that was the LA Strip basically survived for 3 years longer because of the success of Guns N' Roses, because they came from Hollywood. Yeah.
Wow.
The 80s music was dead at that point, and when Appetite, everybody sounded the same. Dead is a bad way to put it, but it was just becoming very redundant.
Stale.
Yeah. Everybody was a poser of themselves, is what people called those kind of people back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
poser.
You're a poser,
dude.
Uh-huh. So they said the success of Guns N' Roses basically kept that L.A. Hollywood scene going for three entire more years past when it probably would have died.
Yeah.
That's how successful Guns N' Roses was.
And they were too, and even though they came
still
out,
are.
Yeah, and even though when they came out with Appetite or Welcome to the Jungle, like his hair was teased, so they still had a little bit of that '80s nonsense. But then the music was like so far removed from '80s pop rock, a hair band, and then it went from
could have been interviewed in the documentary, Mr. Dunham. They discussed that topic just like that.
It's true though, because
it is true.
They had to latch on to that.
But you know what? One guy said that nobody ever talks about that I've always said about Guns N' Roses, and I wanted to say when Joe was here, but I don't know. I don't know why I didn't interject then. But the one thing I always defend Guns N' Roses on is they were all characters. Each one was their own character.
Uh-huh.
The drummer also had his teased up hair when Appetite came out, if you remember.
Yep. No, every one of them. And then when Izzy left, they had the milk cartons on one of the videos. Where's Izzy?
Yes.
Yeah, totally. That was one cool thing about what 70s and 80s rock bands did. They kind of, had little, like the Scorpions. They wore the same shit on the stage. Like you knew what you could tell from, back at PIR in the very far back. Oh, that's Matthias because of his weird fucking yellow black striped clothes, right? And
right.
Klaus had the cheater jacket, and same with Kiss. They had their characters. And
think about it. Duff was tall.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't miss him. He's like 6'2" or 3" or whatever he is.
Yep.
Might be taller than that. But Izzy looked like a homeless guy standing back there with his fucking derby cap.
Yep.
Axl was Axl. Slash actually became a character of himself.
Yeah, right.
Everybody knows what Slash looks like.
Yeah, everybody. It's without a doubt.
90-year-old grandmas know. Oh, that's Slash.
Yeah, it's true though. A lot of and that was the cool thing about bands. The personalities, especially the bigger ones, you could start seeing the personalities on stage, and it came through, and it was kind of cool.
But I'll tell you another thing I agreed with that I've said too is after the original core members of the band started getting replaced, they lived off that most dangerous band in the world moniker long after it wasn't true, right?
True. Yeah. Oh yeah.
At one time, they were the most dangerous band in the world. You didn't know what you were going to get from night to night, but they were so fucking good that you had to try it. You had to chance it. That's what the promoters were saying.
Yeah.
It was worth the amount of money that you stood to lose.
Right.
It was worth the amount of money to put up
with the bullshit.
With their bullshit because of how much the end product was. You're making whatever it was 11 times on your investment.
Mm-hmm. And the bullshit was Axl, because everybody else wanted to go out and play, and they just had to wait for Axl.
Yeah, there was somebody that was close to Izzy in that documentary that basically said he never wanted that band to get that big, and he left. That's the end of the story.
Is he? Yeah, I can see that.
It just wasn't for him,
Yeah.
He would have been happy playing in bars and clubs the rest of his life.
Yeah, and see, it amazes me there's people like that go into the music industry that, Eddie Vedder, he didn't want Pearl Jam to be Pearl Jam. Which part of me gets that. Like, you just want to stay humble and in your space, but if you want to reach to the level of that you don't have to worry about anything and that's your life, then you're going to have some level of success.
So let me ask you this, because I ask every musician this.
Okay.
Does your message mean something to the world? Do you want it to mean something to the world, or do you want it to mean something to you?
From how I write lyrics and stuff?
Yeah.
I've always wrote it as approach to this is for the world, because some way, shape, and form they're going to relate to what I'm singing about.
I think that to me, that proves that you would have handled fame in a very diplomatic and casual way.
I think I would have. I think I would have been the guy that would have. I wouldn't have, like when I saw Queensryche building empires. We had meet and greet after the show, right? So of course the one who comes out is Eddie Jackson, the bass player.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Right? Like really? Like Jeff Tate's not coming out, Wilton's not coming out, Rockenfield's not coming out. It's Eddie Jackson. Not that
Get out there, bass player. Get out there.
Right. Not
Go
that
shake hands.
He was cool, but it's just he's a bass player. And for those of you that know bass players,
you're treading on dangerous waters, man.
No, but you know what I'm saying. From a personality standpoint,
I don't know what he's saying, ladies and gentlemen, because at some time I have to work with bass players. So no, I know exactly what you're saying.
Bass players do.
If
more,
you're a fan
right,
of the band, and
right,
even bass players understand that's why there's so many bass player jokes. Right. That's why normally they are such cool, down to earth human beings.
Agreed.
Because they're going to have to deal with public hazing and hazing within the band at times.
Right. But
they are the foundation of the band, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
They write the song. It's not a
yeah,
chord until the bass player chooses the note. That's always the joke.
Yeah, so I mean, it was cool to meet him, because that was the first real rock star I met from a dialogue standpoint, and he was graceful with his time. It wasn't like hurry up and ask my question and get my answer. He was kind of talking to. There was like 10 of us, so he was signing stuff, talking, looking, engaging, eye contact, stuff like that. So it was a good experience. It's just not what it's not what you wanted. And my question, I remember to this day, was, are you guys ever going to write another a rock concept and a conceptual album again like Mindcrime? And he's like, I hope not. And then fucking building Empires, like Building Empires was a conceptual album.
Of course,
it wasn't. It wasn't as
in your face.
Right. It wasn't as start to finish as Mindcrime.
Right.
But it's still, every song kind of continues the story of the original song because the context of it and was all government and control and conspiracy and shit. So that was interesting that he said, no, I hope not. But like, well, you just kind of did, man. But in his eyes, it didn't. So, but I like
That's cool. You got to meet somebody from Queensrÿche.
Yeah. It was cool,
And that he wasn't a dick. It always sucks when people forget where they came from,
No, and that's why I think you too would have been. We can't speak for Scott and Rick. Wow, brain fart.
Rick would have just been along for the ride, just like he always was.
Yeah, but I think you and I would have. Yeah, I think you and I would have had no problem going out and signing things and pictures and hanging out and just because we're that. No,
I think that's why. Well, I don't think, kiddos that are out there that want to be professional musicians. The reason that Metallica became the biggest band in the world is because they never forgot where they came from.
Right,
and they are as much fans of their own band and other people's music as we are. Right, they never forgot being the kids who were in the garage listening to their favorite bands.
Yep. That's
why they became the biggest. It just, as far as hard rock goes or heavy metal or whatever you want to call it, it just you rise to the top by being humble,
Yeah. And like you said, you don't forget where you came from. Like you don't, I see it all the time and I'm sure you see shit.
I appreciate that compliment from you. That kind of stuff's not lost on me.
Oh, I know. But I see too much of people walking by people with their hands out like this. Just give me 5. Just give the dude 5. What's it going to hurt? Nothing. You don't have to touch your face after you give him and 20 other people a 5. You go back into the dressing room and wash your fucking hands. Because I get that. Like, I'm a little paranoid with that shit. But I would still, like, fucking, it's not that hard. Oh, look, there's a fan. That fan is going to go home next day. Oh, dude, fucking, I saw Scorpions last night in fucking Matthias Jobs. I reached up on stage. He slapped my hand. It was cool as fucking. Like, and that's going to live in that kid's mind for years. And
damn right it is.
And you're going to, just like, now Eddie Jackson wasn't, Eddie Jackson. But I was so into Queensrÿche at the time that it was cool enough that he came out and was gracious and was cool and was answering questions and wasn't a dick. And, he had the big 400-pound bodyguard that was, far enough away that if somebody tried to do something, the guy couldn't have saved him because he was too big. But he didn't have him sitting right next to him. So it was kind of cool. Like when I met Alter Bridge, it was the same thing. It wasn't, they were at a table, right? And so we were going across the table having them sign stuff, but you had enough time to have conversations with them, so much so that I learned that Brian Marshall, the bass player for Alter Bridge, is a realtor in Florida. So I actually tried to give him a referral one time, and he's like, I don't cover that area. I'm like, motherfucker, why not? I would love to be able to get a referral from Brian Marshall.
At least you tried.
Right. So that was the cool thing. Approachable bands are just that. Like Michael Bruce, I met him, Alice Cooper's original guitar player. Really nice guy, really laid back. Now, part of it's because he's 70 years old now, so he's, that's a dude that stood in front of 200,000 people and played music with Alice Cooper. So
damn right,
right. So if
he's
anybody,
been there, done that.
Right. So if anybody could have the right to have just an ego, something like that would have that right, and he doesn't. He didn't.
Sure.
He's just laid back.
And that's always so fascinating to me. I love those people because they became better human beings, right? They experienced something that very few people will ever experience, and they learned and grew from it instead of being like, look at me and look at what I did.
Right.
Yeah. I admire those people.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that I've run across over the years that, looking on my wall over here, like Beth from Beth and Bill. She's been on iHeart and radio personality in Arizona for decades, and there was nothing pompous about her. She was just, I saw her passing. I was getting ready to go record my show. She was coming out of somewhere, and I was like, hey, Beth. And she looks at me like, who the fuck are you? And I was like, hey, I'm Chris. I do a show with G and Edie. It's Real Talk USA. She's like, oh, okay. How are you? I said, I'm great. I was like, so this person I know, named Holly, she thinks you're just the greatest person ever. So I think it would be hilarious if we could take a picture together and I can just rub it in her face. And she laughed. And then so Margie, my co-host, she took a picture of us, and but she could have been like, fuck off. She could have been like, hi, Chris, I gotta go. But she wasn't. She was like, okay.
But don't you think that that's why those people are so successful?
Yes.
Because their genuine personality, just like yours does. I mean, I'm a tough card to read. I don't know if I have a personality, but your personality comes through in spades all the time.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The more approachable you are on the social medium, whatever you're doing, podcasts, Instagrams, Facebooks, I think the more approachable people pick up on that. Like you said, they feel that because they know you're not, Now I do have my asshole moments. I'm not gonna fucking pretend.
We all do. We're human beings.
But
you're not perfect every minute of every day.
No, but it's kind of cool that like when I met Butch Patrick, right? Eddie Munster. There's a kid that came up from a child, right? And the Munsters was like the number one show, right? Laid back.
Yeah, there was only like 3 shows on television back then.
Right.
For real.
Right. Totally unassuming. You can kind of tell he's Eddie Munster. But if you just saw him, you wouldn't think, oh, that's Eddie Munster because he's old. But just legit, really genuine, nice human being, wasn't an ass.
That's
at all,
awesome.
And I hung out with him pretty much for 2 days because it was during Good News Arizona time, and he invited me to go to the Barrett Jackson auction and actually film him selling the Munster Mobile.
No way.
And we put it together as a little clip for him. So that was fun.
That's really cool, dude. I never knew that.
Yeah. So I was in the car filming him while he's waving to the crowd. We went up on stage, and I got out of the car on the Barrett Jackson stage, and
that's so cool, man.
I was filming Eddie Munster.
You've been a participant at Barrett Jackson.
Yeah.
I think that's neat.
Yeah,
I watch that every time it's on TV. I actually went to it once when I lived out there.
Right on. Yeah, I've gone to a couple of times.
I'm not really even into cars, but something of that level, that's like an old fuck level of cars,
Right. But I've learned, because I've probably gone 3 times, and I've learned kind of like the Phoenix Open, because being a real estate title company, oh, here's free tickets and shit.
That's how I went to the Barrett Jackson. Yeah.
Right. But you only have to go to those things once, really, because it's nothing really changes. Like, I mean, there's never really a different car there that you haven't seen before. Like every year you see the Mystery Machine. Okay, well, if you only did it once, you know what I mean?
Do you remember how much the Munster Mobile sold for?
It wasn't what he wanted. I want to say 60, 70 grand. They were hoping to get like 100 or something, and it didn't. It was a replica. It wasn't the original one. He builds replicas. He signs them. I mean, they're all like they are. It's exactly like the car. It's just a replica. Kind of like the Batmobile, right? The original Batmobile is not going to be sold, but you have all these replicas that people make and create, and it's just aesthetics. I got the Batmobile.
Sure.
Herm Edwards, I met him in Tempe one time we were at this restaurant eating breakfast, and he just happened to walk by, and I'm like, I walked up to him and I says, hey, you're Herman Edwards. He's like, yes, I am. I was like, can I get a picture? Because I have a friend, because I did, Troy, who's a huge ASU fan, works for ASU. I was like, as soon as I send him this picture, he's going to want to come down to meet you, and you're going to be gone, so it'll be funny. So he was. I mean, that was. I don't. He wasn't.
That's
he was.
awesome.
That's when he was the coach for ASU. So it's not like he was. That's after he left the NFL and stuff. I don't remember really anything about the conversation. He just seemed like a cool guy that was approachable.
But anybody that's an NFL fan knows that name for sure.
Yes. Yeah, because he played. I think he played on the Bucs, and then he ended up like a cornerback, defensive side of the ball, and then ended up being a coach for the Jets for a while, and maybe a couple other teams. I don't remember who. Leatherface. I met Leatherface, or not Leatherface. Latimer. Remember the movie The Program? Football movie with James Caan.
Yes, absolutely.
Craig Sheffer was the quarterback. Latimer was a steroided out defensive lineman that used to paint his face all black and shit. He was fucking huge.
Yes.
Okay. So he came to town to a signing, and I went and picked him up from his hotel. and he liked Pantera, which I knew, so I had Pantera playing. And motherfucking just, like, dude, you're in somebody's truck. You don't fucking whip out your blunt and start smoking it. I was irritated.
No.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
No, I know. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, come on,
and you're
man.
talking to somebody that, would potentially do something like that.
Right.
But I would never do that.
Right. But, he was Latimer. He was twice my size with muscle.
Yeah, but that's still fucking rude.
It is.
Because there's people like my mother who are allergic to smoke. It physically causes her to not be able to breathe. So, how did he know that you weren't in that position? That's what I'm always thinking.
No, I agree.
You're like, is this cool?
Yeah. And So, but at the same time, your mom wouldn't have gone and picked up Latimer from a hotel room,
No, but my point was.
No, I get your point.
I know somebody who's physically allergic to smoke.
Yeah.
So had you been with her allergy,
right,
he could have potentially caused you both to die because you wouldn't have been able to drive the car because you couldn't breathe.
Right.
That's
have I ever told you the Kid and Play story?
I get irritated for you sometimes.
Have I told you the Kid and Play story? Remember Kid and Play
no,
from the 90s?
But I got to hear this one for sure. Do tell.
But you know who Kid and Play are?
Absolutely, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Okay, so 6 years ago, Nick and I are flying to Washington, D.C. to do our first half marathon for the Marine Corps marathon they have every year,
Okay.
So one little caveat about us, because I don't drink, we don't do anything extravagant with our lives. We live very, just humble. One of the things we do whenever we go somewhere to run, like vacation races, we call them, we go first class. And the whole reason why, if you've never run a half marathon and the day after a half marathon you're flying home and you're sitting in coach, your legs don't fucking like you.
Sure. Okay. That doesn't sound fun at all.
No. So that's one thing that we do. That's the one thing we've always kind of splurged on. When she and I travel, we just do that.
And you're supposed to do that. That's why you work. You're supposed to treat yourself.
I just don't want people to think I'm pompous first class, but if you look at what we do,
he's really Batman, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the only thing we do really is spoil ourselves, I should say. So we get off the plane. Obviously, first class people go first. So we're the second row on the left of the plane, and in the front row right. He's sitting there. Okay. It's Kid, the one with the
big hair,
but he didn't have the big hair. It was short, right?
Wouldn't expect him to at this point,
right? So we're basically three people behind him.
Okay.
Well, this kid had got on the plane. As he was coming on the plane, he realized who he was, and so he reached over and then Kid was kind of a dick because you could kind of tell he was just like, leave me the fuck alone. No offense, Kid, but it gets better. So we're walking down the tarmac to get into the airport itself, and that kid comes running up again, and he's chirping at him, and he says whatever back, shakes his hand, and off he goes. The kid goes. So now we're going towards the luggage, and he's 2 steps in front of me, so I kind of double step. I was like, hey man. He kind of looks at me. We're walking, mind you. I'm like, who are you? And he's like, what? I'm like, well, that kid made a point when he got on the plane and got off the plane to chase you down. So obviously you're someone. And I said, I'm sitting in first class across from you and behind you, but I'm respectful. I'm not going to bug somebody on a plane. But I said, we're walking now in a hallway. There's nobody else around but you and my wife. What'd I say? Nobody else around but my wife.
I fucking love this.
Right. I said, so I just want to know who you are. So he drops his name. Don't recognize his name. I was like, and he does it in a Jamaican accent. Not fucking lying to you. Okay? He's not Jamaican.
No.
So I didn't recognize the name. I saw that. I was like, huh. I said, I don't recognize that name. What have you done that I would have known? And he goes, Kid and Play. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so here we go.
Brilliant.
Then we kind of, in the parting ways somehow, that path, we went to different route to get to the baggage claim. Okay. In baggage claim, I'm standing there with Nikki, and all of a sudden fucking Play comes up, or Kid comes up right next to me. I think his name's Chris. So
that sounds right.
So I kind of look at him. I'm like, you stalking me, man? So I get a little smirk. I get one of these. Okay. It gets better. Dude, do you believe how fucking funny this shit gets?
Do you understand why I loved hanging out with this guy, ladies and gentlemen? This was every day.
So we get our luggage. He gets his luggage. Again, we're going different directions, right? He's probably got whatever car picking him up, and I don't remember if we Ubered or taxied back then. So we get to the hotel, which is some random hotel in Washington. It's Halloween weekend, okay? And that's important to know this. So we're in the hotel. We're checking in. Actually waiting in line to check in, okay? Guess who fucking walks in the door? Play.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, that was fucking too
So
slow.
I turn and I see him, and I'm like, really, man? So now he's got a bigger smile on his face. I'm like, dude, we could have just shared the same car. Like, we just both spent money on rides, man. Come on.
Oh, you got me with that one.
So he's behind me now in line, right? Guess who fucking comes out the elevator not 2 seconds later? Fucking Play. So here we are. I'm going to go get it. I'm with Kid and Play in a Washington hotel. Hold on.
We're going to get photographic evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to take the picture off the wall. Oh, my God, that story just killed me. So if you grew up at the same time we did, this story is hilarious.
So there we are. This is
That's
Chris.
awesome.
This is who was on the plane. This is who.
Bring it closer a little bit.
This is who I kept saying,
There you
"Hey
go.
man, you're stalking
Right
me. Why are you stalking me, man?" Okay. So it gets better. Okay.
That's
You
a
didn't
great
think
picture, though, dude.
Right. So you didn't think it could get better, right? It gets better.
It gets better.
The next night, because we
I
got
love
there
this
like on a Friday, or on a Thursday. So the next night, I think it's Friday night. Nikki and I go down after we eat dinner and stuff. We go down to the bar just to hang out. You know, she gets a Michelob Ultra and I probably get a fake beer. Motherfucker sits down 2 seats away from me. So I'm at the bar, right? I got my little pretzels and shit, and I see the chair come out and sit.
You're fucking killing me.
So I put my hand on the bar and I kind of put my hand on the chair next to me. I was like, "What's up, man?" And he looks at me and you can see in his face, he's like, "What the fuck, again?" I'm like, "You really got to stop stalking me, bro. Like, it's getting a little weird." So now he's laughing, and then now he starts kind of really, we're engaging, you know, just kind of bullshit, talking about nothing, really. Like, really, we're not talking about anything, not bringing up the movies and shit, you know. Just, "Why are you guys here?" "Oh, we're running this marathon." And you're like, "Why are you here?" "Oh, we're playing a show." I'm like, "That's cool." So, even better, the next night is the 30th, okay? Saturday night in the hotel. Well, Kid and Play are playing Saturday night, three levels above us, because
They're still playing?
Yeah, they're playing a show.
He says like everybody should know this.
They're playing a show for Halloween while all the marathon runners in the building are trying to fucking sleep.
Oh, no.
So all you hear all night are doors shutting, girls fucking running, people going up and down the elevators and shit, people coming in and out of the rooms. Loud as fuck because they're stoned, they're drunk, they're partying. Kid and Play's upstairs doing their concert shit, like in the ballroom or something they had at this hotel. It's just insane. So then I end up following him. I find him on Instagram.
Somebody did not think this weekend through.
No. So then I end up following him on Instagram and realize that same era of time he's launching his own pot line.
Yeah.
Right? So then I start following
Him and
his
Larry
shit.
Bird.
Yeah, so it was funny, man. It was cool that we just naturally kept bumping into each other, and then by the time before the concert night, he's finally like, "Fuck it, I just gotta talk to this motherfucker."
So rewinding all the way back to the beginning, I would hope that in some minuscule part of his fucking brain, he realized that he's not as big as he once was by your initial interaction.
And I wasn't being a
like,
dick.
who the fuck are you?
Right.
I know you're not like that, and that's why it became.
That's why it's funny.
I'm going to say this, and it's why it's funny.
Yeah.
But you have to know you on the level that I know you.
Sure.
To have the reaction that I did. That's why I laugh so fucking hard, because you have one of the biggest hearts you will ever find in the world.
Thank you.
But you say, "I don't have any empathy." So I think the one thing that you and Scott both had in common is neither one of you had any empathy. So I've dealt with it in 2 different ways, right?
Yeah.
Scott liked to deal with it angrily a lot.
Sure.
for some reason, he never did that towards me. Maybe because he knew I didn't need it, or that he could just break me in half if he wanted to, because I'm not a willing participant. You know, I just don't like to fight.
Yeah.
I think he just had a respect on a level. It's like, it's not worth it, you know?
Probably.
But
I would say that, yeah.
I always appreciated your lack of empathy versus his, because I just don't like confrontation. Why do we got to fucking yell and scream and argue about shit? You know, why can't we just talk it out like human beings?
Right. Agreed.
So,
yeah, I agree with that.
I guess my point is that's what makes that story so funny, because people would want to take you as annoying.
Yeah.
In the beginning. Mm-hmm. But you grow on people like a fucking wart. Sometimes just without them even realizing it.
Right.
And that's what happened to those dudes. You know?
Yeah.
Because you like to have fun. And I was thinking about this on the way home. That's what makes all this. We're both wearing a black fucking shirt. We don't plan this kind of stuff. And I was literally thinking on the way home, that's why I love talking to you, because I didn't have a bad day, but I kind of had a blah. You know, it was just like any other day.
Yeah.
And I ended up having the best laugh I've had all day just hearing that fucking story. And I know how they felt, you know, because sometimes when you don't want to laugh or you're having a bad day, there you are. That's all I'm saying.
You're frozen. Uh-oh.
I'm back.
Okay. Mine's just trying to connect,
here.
but I'm stable when we're just doing that. I'm on the right internet.
Yeah, you're here too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I get you. Yeah. And that's, yeah. I mean, like when there's other people I met when I was doing my radio show. Like I met Steve-O from the Jackass thing. He was an odd person to meet because he just started his sobriety. And I was working for this company that their whole thing was Rastafarian colors and shit. And selling one joint at a time was their saying. It was the stupidest 6 months of my real estate career ever. And legit, I offered him a shirt. He looks at it. He's like, no. I just flat out no. I was like, can I ask why? He's like, because I'm that's not me, man. It's you one joint at a time. That's not me. And then he told me, because I didn't follow Jackass. He's like, I've been sober for 6 months. I'm like, oh, good for you, man. And I was like, whatever. I'm like 12 years sober.
Listen.
Yeah.
Here's where I would have fucked his world up. Nobody's sober from marijuana, you fucking pussy. Right? You either smoke it or you don't smoke it. There's no, oh my God, I gotta have my weed, unless you're fucking stupid.
But we don't know, because he wasn't an engaging personality that was going to give me more
He did 3 hours on Rogan long after.
Okay.
So that's cool that you actually talked to him when he was newly sober, because I think he had been sober for, what time frame would that have been?
It was my show was 6 years ago. So 2000, this is 25 now. So 2018, I think.
Yeah.
2017, 2018 went March to March.
He might have had like another year or two in when he finally agreed to go on and talk to Joe.
Gotcha.
And he did seem like he was pretty touchy about, whether he was still hanging in there with it. He was still sober, but I think you remember in the beginning, it's touch and go for a long time.
Well, and I think a lot of people too, because when with somebody who has various addictions, like we had Mike on, our friend Mike, right? And he had various levels of addiction. It wasn't just one thing. There's he kind of alluded to it, but we didn't go in detail.
Right. So I went through the same thing.
So I think that potentially when you're stepping out of that lifestyle, because that's what it is.
Mike and I's stories are eerily fucking similar.
Right. And it's a lifestyle. Like it's all encompassing.
Yes.
So, and I'm kind of thinking that's how it was for Steve-O. Don't know, making an assumption here, but that may have been his defense mechanism. Like, I can't just do that because that will lead to that. I think
he did, now that you say that, it triggers my memory. And I do believe that he said almost exactly that when he was talking to Rogan.
Okay.
Like, if I get high with you guys, then I'm going to be smoking crack on fucking 10th Street in LA or whatever.
It's kind it's kind of like smoking cigarettes, right? When you go to a bar, if you stop smoking cigarettes, and then you go to the bar, what's the first thing you want to have?
Right.
Because
there are people that, that's why people say, well, marijuana is a gateway drug. I suppose it could be for some people.
It's only a gateway if that's what they started with. So yeah, I think so. You and I both agree that we don't think pot's a gateway drug. You know,
I don't.
I mean, it could be introducing somebody to that euphoric feeling, but I only think those people that have deep-rooted addiction issues are the ones that it starts that way, and that it opened the door, but I don't think it was a gateway.
Well, and not to get too far away from that Steve-O subject, his would be a reintroduction to an addict's lifestyle, right? That's what I had to be careful of is, can I have just 2 or 3 beers, or can I have just a half a joint, right, and be happy with it and not smoke it all day every day and have to want it, and not really want it, but you know, for me, you hit the nail on the head. At one time, that was a lifestyle for me.
Yeah.
I didn't go to work like everybody else 9 to 5, and I didn't have a job that demanded that I be there certain hours and do certain tasks, and it was like, you know, I had a skill set that nobody else had at that time, and I could come and go as I pleased and do what I wanted because there was like 5 people in the entire valley that could do what we did.
Yeah.
You know, that all changed when the digital camera came out, but there was a time I had a skill set that was highly sought after. The people that owned the company didn't know how to run the machine that I did.
Right.
So you just do what you want at that point. So you're right. Lifestyle is a good way to put it.
Yeah, because you don't know. Like when I stopped drinking, and when Nikki realized that I was legit going to stop drinking, she stopped drinking. Like there was no booze in our house, like at all. You know, now there is, because I'm 20 years into it, 20 plus years into it. So there's a little 8-pack of baby Fireballs in the outside fridge, and I have no desire to touch them because that's just, you know, that's not who I am, right?
I look at it on a deeper human level. I think it's cool that you allow her to be her own human being, and if she wants to do that on a Saturday night,
right?
You know, she's entitled to do that because she wasn't an alcoholic, right?
Exactly.
To me, that's the admirable quality. You know, I have said this on the podcast. I probably haven't said it in long enough. Before we ever started doing this, I asked you if it bothered you if I drank a beer while we were sitting here.
Yeah, he did, and it doesn't.
So nobody said anything about that in a long time, but, you know, Joe said something about it when we were headed out to get food the other night. He said, man, like, I feel like a dick. And I said, why? He said, you know, I like to come over there and have a good time with you. And, you know, I'm sitting there drinking, and Chris is talking about being fucking 20 years sober. And I said, trust me, brother, he's fine with it. I wouldn't let you sit there and do that in front of somebody who I love, you know, like a brother. I was like, that wouldn't happen. I would not embarrass you like that. I would not offend somebody I love like that. Yeah. So, you know, we both got a laugh out of it. But that's the kind of guy that Joe is, you know. It's
and
like,
that's cool.
He felt bad about that. He's like, I'm trying to have a good time, and this guy's telling me he's 20 years sober. And I'm like, fuck, man, I look like a dick. I said, no, not at all. I actually asked Chris before we started the podcast, is this going to bother you? Because if it is, I won't do it.
Right. Yep.
And you're like, hey, man, I've been sober 20 years, and I have to be around it. It's all around us.
Yeah.
That was the point you made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, Nikki and I go dancing Saturday nights most times, and Denim and Diamonds, and it's a bar. It's a big bar. It's a dancing bar. We show up at about 6:15 because there's a free lesson from 6:30 to 7:30. We do that. We hang out, you know, and then we're usually out by 9 because by 9 o'clock the crowd starts piling in, and then you have people that got there around 7 that are now 2 hours into drinking. And then, you know, it's just kind of like, okay, it's time to go. And she respects that. She knows I have a limit. When we go to a bar for something, she knows I'm about 2 hours, and then that's kind of, I'm reaching my point because people start getting stupid, and then I start getting defensive because, you know, she's 5'2", 115 pounds, you know what I mean? And we're dancing on the floor, and fucking she's getting elbowed into shit, and that doesn't fly with me, you know? It's like, we know how to do this country swing, and you can legit do everything within, you know, a 4-foot square space, right? Like, you don't have to leave that space. If you know what you're doing and you're doing it properly, there's no reason in this little space I have on my desk right here that we could completely dance and do all the moves and shit we do without hitting anybody over there, or over there, over there. But there's some people that think that they fucking own the floor and they have to take, you know, enough space for 5 people. And it's like, and then they start, when they rub it, she got fucking elbowed in the nose one night because this dude fucking spun his girl.
Damn.
And her elbow just went, and And I'm like, motherfucker, like, you know, and I don't ever want to go to blows either. I've been in one fight my entire life. So people don't fuck with me because of how I look. Right. But I know how to defend myself if the situation presented myself, because I went through an entire executive training program for like bodyguards and shit, because they were like, why not? That's a cool thing to learn. So I all kinds of shit I can do with just my hands with you don't even realize it. All of a sudden I got you subdued in fucking 2 seconds. So it's that thing when they don't respect the space and then she ends up being a casualty. I'm like, she knows I'm fucking out. Like we have to leave, because then my mood changes, because I'm trying, when you dance with somebody the way you're supposed to dance with them, you're eye contact the whole time, because you're dancing with them. You're not dancing with the space there, the space there. So when people are doing these intricate moves and spins and stuff, as you turn each other, you lock eyes, and you go back and you lock eyes, because it's all about movement, and you're basically eye fucking each other. So when I have to start watching dickhead over here and then this chick over here and this couple over there, as I'm doing these things, then it takes away from the element of the dance and what we're trying to accomplish by having fun and connecting, blah, blah, blah. So then it's just like, okay, we got to go. It's time to leave, because
So am I to assume by this story that country dancing is still very popular?
It is very popular. Here's the thing though.
There used to be a station years ago, you know, like I didn't have cable, so I only got so many stations when I lived in Phoenix, right? Mm-hmm. There used to be a country station that played some dancing show from Nashville. It was like simulcast or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was popular in the 90s.
Probably KNAX or Camel Country, one of the two, because that's the
Something
only
like
two
that.
country stations. Yeah. So now Sirius has Prime Country they do on Saturday nights.
This was a TV station that had country dancing.
Oh, okay. Oh,
maybe
I know
like
what you're talking about.
CMT or some shit.
Yeah,
Wild
country,
Horse
yes.
Saloon. That's
Yes.
what it was.
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
And the only reason I watched it, I turned the volume off because they had good looking chicks.
Sure.
On it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same reason people watched Soul Train in the 70s or 80s.
Right. And the one cool thing about it,
good looking women,
is when they do the line dancing, right? I don't stay on the floor for line dancing, because line dancing's for women, guys. Women line dance.
Yeah, guys look like
men. You don't line dance, okay?
No, please.
Like we had somebody teaching
if you
us.
can at all help it.
Right. We had a dancing instructor who teaches these lessons every Saturday, and it was like $200 for
you
him.
don't look cool.
Yeah, to give us the dance lessons, and he told us that. Because Nikki had asked about a line dance, and he looks at me, he's like, you line dance? I'm like, no. He's like, good, and he made a very misogynistic comment that I'm not going to repeat. But men shouldn't line dance.
Right. For obvious reasons.
Right. Now, when the floor is full, okay, whether it's 90% women and then you have some of the guys that are trying to be cool, it's pretty badass when they're doing the line dance and they're all in unison. Like it's kind of like a Pantera concert when you're walking and everybody's, or Metallica and everybody's doing. But when you're like legit this far away from the floor, and you see 100 people on this dance floor, it's kind of cool. I won't gonna lie.
Sure.
I'm not gonna go out there and learn that shit, because I've done it a couple of times. So I'm like, fuck this. This doesn't work for me.
Guys don't do that.
No, it's nice to watch Nikki do it, because then she spins around. You see her cute little ass as she's kicking her boots and stuff. It's like, ooh,
it's funny
sexy,
you bring that up,
sexy,
because I don't even know where I recently saw it. My YouTube video, something. I don't know, but I was like, guys should not line dance, man. That just does not look good at all.
No. Line dance
Your jeans are too tight, and you're making motions that you just shouldn't make.
Agreed. Yeah. and so I just, I will say there are some men that show up at Denim and Diamonds that they spend a lot of time learning all these line dances, and they pull them off flawlessly. But it's now a couple of them, because we know enough people there, we don't know them, but we know them. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that's country dance guy.
And I'm not saying guys shouldn't dance. I'm saying guys shouldn't line dance.
Right. I agree with you. But there's
a ballet guy. I'm
right.
fine with that.
Right. But there's a couple.
It looks so stupid.
There's a it does. But
I'm
there's a couple.
A lot of people off right now. I know that, but
controversy, man. It sells tickets. But there's a couple of them that line dance, but they are instructors. They teach country dancing. So I can see why they're out there doing that, because they want to get the girls.
They're getting paid.
Well, they're not getting paid, but they're out there. No, they're out there to recruit people. That's how. Okay, no, but this is how we decided taking line dance or taking dance lessons. Daniel was the teacher. Okay, Daniel was the teacher at Denim and Diamonds. So he referenced.
He's teaching more than line dancing.
He doesn't teach line dancing. This is where this is where I'm going with it. Okay, so Daniel would say after the night.
You're killing me. I want to like Daniel.
Well, you are. I'm explaining it. Okay.
Okay.
So Daniel doesn't teach line dancing. Daniel teaches country swing. So one of the fourth or fifth times we were there, I caught him saying after the lesson, "Hey, if you guys want one-on-ones, find me after. I'll be over here." So I went over there. I'm like, "Dude, you can teach us to dance better?" Because Nikki loves to dance. He's like, "Yeah, I have private lessons that cost this much. Half an hour once a week for 6 weeks." Perfect. Sign us up. So we went and honed our skills and learned little tricks of the trade, like how to stand and how to move your feet and the whole eye concept thing. And then Nikki had asked about line dancing, and that's when he looked at me. He's like, "You line dance?" I said, "I've tried a couple of times." And he's like, basically I don't remember exactly what he said. Like, "You're a man. You're not a pussy. Don't go line dancing." I'm like, "Okay, I'm cool with that." We just, And
couldn't agree with Daniel more.
Right. So, and Daniel's kind of an interesting character. He's kind of an actor per se. He said he was on CSI Miami as a recurring, extra cop role type thing. And
hasn't everybody?
Right. I think he's a good,
being funny.
No, he's a good guy. But he teaches every Saturday. That's one of his gigs. So where I was getting at it. So there's a couple other people that show up there that we've seen consistently enough that they're country dancers. One guy's it's a trip. He's a black guy, but the dude's fucking smooth as silk on everything he does. And when he's out there line dancing, and he's out there line dancing, it's like legit. It's amazing. So he's out there because he's recruiting people on the dance floor. Hey, you want to learn how to line dance and country swing? I teach lessons. Here's my card. Right. Okay. It's no different than somebody going to a convention selling their product behind a booth. He's just selling his product on the dance floor. So are you going to take dance lessons from somebody that you've never seen dance? Or are you going to take dance lessons from somebody who's out there like, holy shit, that dude's smooth?
You still prove my point. He's still getting paid on the end.
Agreed. He is getting paid on the end. He's out there.
He's no different than you soliciting.
Right.
Hey, I'm a real estate agent. If you want to sell or buy, I'm your guy. Right.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Same concept. Same exact concept.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm just trying to help him. I'm justifying why he gets to line dance and nobody else does.
Daniel doesn't line dance.
I know Daniel doesn't.
Yeah, he won't.
I'm justifying why the other guys get to line dance and nobody else does.
Right.
Because in the end, they're getting paid, right?
Yes.
Dollars. It's part of their job.
Well, Daniel's the only one that says men shouldn't line dance. There's other men that obviously think they should line dance because they're out there line dancing.
I disagree. That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah,
so if anybody wants to come on and debate us and tell me why you should get to line dance, I'm sure they're going to say because it's a free fucking country, and you have a valid point.
Right. It's a free country. All right. We got to wrap this up. I got to get ready.
Okay, brother.
This flew by. This was fast. Good times.
Yeah. Must have been fun.
It was fun.
What did we talk about?
Music, man.
I know.
Music and us. Our favorite topic of discussion. So I'm gonna go check out the Guns N' Roses thing tonight. I'll let you know what I think about that.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, cool. Right on. As we always say, don't let the bad days win. Tomorrow is a better day. So if you're feeling distraught and depressed, somebody loves you. Somebody will miss you. So don't be that person that leaves a gap in somebody's soul because you left without talking to them and sharing your feelings and concerns. Somebody's always around to listen. So if you don't have somebody to do that, Google the help, Google machine.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And thanks to everybody who's out there listening, and we appreciate all you. We wouldn't be doing this if everybody didn't keep listening. So I say it every time we release an episode. We appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate you sharing us, and we'll just keep growing and doing it and doing better things. So thanks for being out there.
Yep. Nothing but love, people.
Absolutely.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Peace.
Peace.
We're gonna fly into